All right. We got a fun one today. Some good games yesterday. We actually kind of were on it. It's just one of those things where some days, or at least lately, I've been on top of everything. It's just putting the right pieces together. But we get the last full slate of the season, and this one's interesting. There's a lot to consider on this actual slate. Actually ended up doing better in Showdown yesterday than anything. It was pretty easy cash. Nailed the Rose Bowl exactly how I wanted it or expected it to go. Now that I have or considering I have a rooting interest in Indiana until my former players leave there. But this particular slate, we kind of know who's in and who's out. Sans the Arizona stuff. The one thing I do not like whatsoever about this slate is Brent Brennan saying there could be some opt outs, but that's their decision, and I'm not announcing it. All right, thanks. So Arizona's a crap show, so we're going to kind of talk about that Arizona SMU game here in a minute. But let's lead things off with this Texas State Rice game. Very simple here. I'm going to click on Texas State because Rice does not exist. I refuse to play anybody from Rice. They get a 21.5 point team total. They're playing at best a third string quarterback in Patrick Creighton, who's attempted 6 passes all season. I think Quentin Jackson, the running back's probably the only guy you could think about playing, given that Texas State is not the best run defense in the country. But you had Drayden Dickman, who's opted out, Chase Jenkins, Drew Devier. Like, it's just everybody gone. So I don't think they care that they're here. They're just 5-7 and said, forget it. We just need the practice. So I'm out on them. I'm going to be heavily invested, though, in Texas State. I have debated whether I want to go full 4-man stack here. I think that it's extremely viable. And they feature a number of what could be the best weapons on the slate. I've got to make some considerations. So Brad Jackson, the quarterback, is the clear top option. He's been one of the best players in college fantasy all season. The man just hung 53 on South Alabama. So he's very hard to fade. I think you just got to plug and play that one. Although there is 4, maybe 5 legitimate options today, I will say. I think that could change. I just think the ceiling is so much on Brad Jackson, and I want to play a different game a different way, but I think I know where my second quarterback is going to come from. But Brad Jackson is very hard to fade. Now, running back wise, Lincoln Parr is as consistent as it comes and should be considered the number 1 running back on this slate as well. That does not mean he's going to run for a crazy amount of yardage. He does get a good amount of carries, but he's also their 3rd leading wide receiver. So he pairs well with Brad Jackson. I would like to find a way to get him in there. He is by far and away the best running back on this slate, but it is pretty prohibitive. I'm going to try to figure out how I want to fit this all together. Do I want it to be par with a wide receiver from Texas State and then go away from Jackson and play 2 quarterbacks from a different game? I've been debating it. Greg Burrell, the transfer from UNLV. Look, Rice is absolutely abysmal on defense, period, end of story. And they are one of the worst at giving up points in the country. They're not very good against the ground, particularly. They've given up over 400 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns the last 2 weeks of the season. So, I mean, it's hard not to wanna play him. I feel like it's a situation where you want to play Brad Jackson, but at the same time, Lincoln Parr is a necessary evil given the rest of the slate. That's kinda where I'm stuck at. Um, it's a slate that I hate the running backs, I'll be honest. I really do not like the running backs. There is some merit to saying I'm gonna play both of the Texas State running backs, but I don't think you want to go there. I think there is a world. I'm going to try to see if I can fit those two, but you're also going to want one of Bo Sparks or Chris Dawn. It's an extremely condensed offense. I would personally love to be able to play all four just for the fun of it. Chris Dawn, extremely consistent, 7 or more catches in 3 of 4. He's so good at the price tag. It's near impossible to not play him. And then Bo Sparks has not been as productive, but he has those spike weeks. Morning, Patrick. He has spike weeks. So there's more risk associated with him, but also more reward on the Bo Sparks side. If I was choosing one of two, I mean, the man has a 4-touchdown game, for goodness sakes. Look at the numbers. 80 catches for 1,100 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Man's insane. Like, it's hard not to want to play both. But let's just say, for example, I'm going to do this, and then we'll see kind of where we land. I'm actually curious about this. So, similar situation, Navy, Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati wants to be here. Most of their defense is missing. If I was playing 20 max today, which I would if I had plenty of time on my hands, I just don't. Horvath would be in play because who the hell wants to stop a option offense in a bowl game that's meaningless to them? So Horvath is interesting. Lichtenberg's going to be the starter for Cincinnati. Now with Sorsby in the portal, he's gone. There's talk that we're going to see Samaj Jones as well. So it's going to be a split. Yep. I think, Myron, that's the debate, buddy. That's the debate. I think Horvath is well within play, given that the entire secondary and Corleone, most of the Cincinnati defense is all gone. So Horvath well in play. If you wanted to play him over Brad Jackson, I'd understand it. He obviously has the upside to go for 40 in this spot. And the question is where does the ownership fall? Because to me, there's 4 super high-end quarterbacks and one that's kind of like a high floor, low ceiling play. So I'm ignoring the Cincinnati quarterback situation. Horvath well within play. Now, Cincinnati running back is a disaster. Tyree Walker, gone. Evan Pryor, gone. I think it comes down to Zion Johnson being the starter. I don't know how I feel about that. I think he's in play, so there is some cheap running back options. Manny Covey could be the guy, but I would prefer Zion Johnson if I was taking a shot there. But Navy's been pretty good against the run, so I don't love either guy, period, in this spot. Heidenreich, always in play. Team's leading receiver, explosive runner. They're missing guys on the back end. I would not be surprised to see a 100-yard receiving game out of Heidenreich here. I don't think you're going to get this Navy Air Force game. I don't think you're going to get the VMI game. But I do think you probably can get this South Florida game, which is at 26 points. You'd have to be ecstatic with. But I think Heidenreich's a good play. Lincoln Parr is just a great play. That's the difference. So I've debated Heidenreich. I just don't know that I'm going to go there. I'm avoiding all the receivers in this game. If you were going to play one, it would be an outside guy for Cincinnati, so a Caldwell or a Goody. I don't think that their upside is enough to warrant consideration compared to the Navy guys. So I think in this game, You can consider Cincinnati running back, a cheap one with Covey or Johnson. Heidenreich, well within play. Horvath, well within play. You can pair them together, and it's a perfectly good situation. I'm going to leave this game to last because I think this Wake Mississippi State game is, it just screams shootout to me, and I don't know how to feel about it. I really don't know how to feel about it. So I have a plan of attack for this game. I think Jennings is the fifth best quarterback. He's gotten his wheels back a little bit late in the season, played extremely well throwing the ball. I think he's a very safe 20, but I think you're going to need 50 or, let's say 30 plus out of your quarterbacks to get there. And the ceiling is just so much more for a Brad Jackson who runs for 100 yards. And the pair of quarterbacks in this game, the ceiling is so much higher. That's why Fafita doesn't run enough for me to consider. He doesn't throw enough. So, and SMU's defense is solid. Arizona's defense is solid. They're both good enough that I don't really particularly want to consider either of those two. So I'm out there. I think I would put Jackson, Horvath, and both guys all ahead of these two. So they're not necessarily in consideration here. Harden's been getting a ton of work, but he's hyper inefficient, we'll say. I'm not going to go there. Arizona's got a decent run defense. It's been pretty stout. I haven't really wanted to pick on it, but on a per play basis, you can run on them. I think if I was taking a shot, it would not be on Harden. It would be Chris Johnson Jr. I think he's the long-term answer in this backfield. Maybe he gets some extended run here. He's got the upside to break any play, and he's got good pass catching ability. He would be the guy that I take the shot on if I was going to go out on a limb and take a $5,100 shot on him. So he's probably my third favorite play from this game. I'm not considering the Arizona running backs. SMU, I do not pick on their run defense. I choose not to. It's been stout all season, to say the least. And who gets the carries between Riscano and Mahdi is dang near impossible. And they do not give up any explosives. So I'm out there. I think it's Chris Johnson or bust in this game from a running back standpoint. Now, wide receiver, Brennan saying the opt-out thing scares me on Hudson. So my preferred strategy is to play Hudson because, I love picking on SMU pass defense. But I like both of these guys, Chris Hudson and Jordan Hudson. I think I would want to play one of the two. Chris Hudson's been getting a ton of volume late in the year, almost 100 yards in 3 straight. He's certainly the most targeted wide receiver on this offense, facing off with an SMU defense that I've picked on all season. Jordan Hudson, not too dissimilar, has been on an absolute tear. He is the very clear number one option in this pass offense. I love both of them. I'm worried about him opting out, so I'd be hesitant to play both together. I probably prefer to play Hudson and then see if I get word, and then I can swap to the one that's playing. I think one is the ideal situation to play one of the two. For me, I just don't think this is a shootout game as much. This game has fireworks written all over it. Now, I think everybody's going to play Kamario Taylor coming off that Egg Bowl performance. And it's hard not to. Man ran for 173 yards on Ole Miss. It's hard not to. He also had 3 rushing touchdowns against Georgia. I mean, he's looked the part. He's got 2 very good wide receivers. I don't think I'd pair him up. I think I'd just let him ride. He's well within play. I think he's a great play. I'm tempted to say. Wake Forest defense is better than Mississippi State's defense. 100%. Wake Forest has actually been a good defense. Kamario Taylor does have 50-point upside. Kamario Taylor does have 50-point upside. My question to you would be, does Robbie Ashford not project the same? I mean, we just saw. Look, the thing is, Jeff Sims just gave me the blade, right? Well, he didn't really because I played, Arch, and Arch was really good too. And there were so many guys that were really good on that slate. Is Robbie Ashford going to give us the blade? Because Mississippi State's defense sucks. I mean, just absolutely is putrid. It's a putrid defense. It's Robbie Ashford's last game. He actually put up 2 very good performances to close out the year against Duke and Delaware, dropping just two 35-point games. We know he's got rushing upside. The other question is, they have no running back. Devon Claiborne's not going to play. Now, I do know who the other guy is, and I'm tempted to play him. Maybe that's how I end up going with this. If I get 50 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns, he throws for 280. I got stack partners that are very clear. I think Robbie Ashford's extremely viable. I think I would rank the quarterbacks. Jackson 1, no doubt about it. And then I would rank, I'm struggling with the Ashford versus Taylor thing. And then I probably put Horvath at 3. I just think there's a chance that the Horvath kind of gets some celebratory run, but nothing insane. I think this game just screams back and forth. I'm tempted to say I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to play both of these guys. I think it's viable to do this. I think it's extremely viable, but I think that slot, it might end up needing to go somewhere else, that running back slot. Now, granted, maybe if I play that, then I can get the Heidenreich. That's possible. I think it's a 4 wide receiver slate, no doubt about it. I don't think it's a three running back slate in this spot for me. So the $1 million question becomes, I think you can actually get to Heidenreich if you do this. Can you do that? I think I can do that. But anyway, so the thing is, at running back, Claiborne's out. I don't like Devon Booth in this spot. I'm open to Fluff. Fluff had a few good games early in the year before he twisted the ankle. He twisted the ankle in that A&M game. Was out for a little bit. Maybe it was against Florida. I don't remember. It was early in one of these games. It was bad. Missed a while. And then, but he had a great game against Mississippi State, against Tennessee. I do think I game stacked Georgia Ole Miss. Yeah, that worked out. Yeah, most people. Well, yeah, I ended up swapping to Keywan Lacey, the lazy Delp stuff, which I really wish Delp would have caught that touchdown at the end. That would have been optimal. But yeah, I think Fluff is in position for 15 to 18 carries, or at least 15 to 18 touches in this spot. And he can be a sneaky play. So I'm half tempted, if I play Ashford, to play Fluff as my RB2. Ty Clark's going to be your starter. He's really the only back left on the Wake roster at this point. And he's facing an absolute abysmal, to say the least, run defense that I have picked on relentlessly for 300-yard performances. I mean, Ahmad Hardy ripped them. Keywan Lacey ripped them. It's just been a consistent situation. So do I think Ty Clark's the best or low-end option. So that's why I have a half-tempted thing to do Brad Jackson, Ty Clark. It's the only reason that I'm considering not doing Robbie Ashford is I can go Ty Clark. And I do like both ends of the thing is Kamario Taylor, I don't want to stack. Ashford, I do want to stack. Like I think Evans is fine. Um, he's more of a possession wide receiver. He's viable. Brennan Thompson, fine, always viable. I probably prefer Thompson just because of his big play upside. He can get you there in one shot. I think I mean, it could be, both of them have opt out potential too, though, Evans and Thompson, but they are, you know, I don't know. Both of them seem like they're going to return. Yeah, I'm gonna hit FanDuel because I have it up. I don't know. I'll probably play one team and see. I think both of them play because it sounds like both are going to play and be there. I mean, there's just no explosives from the run spot. It feels like this is the best way to play this. Is Clark and Taylor? Yeah, but the thing is, I love the Wake wide receivers. So, like, I really do like Carlos Hernandez. 3 straight games near 100 yards. He was great with Dickert at Washington State. I've played way too much Carlos Hernandez in my lifetime at this point. I feel like playing a Robbie Ashford and Carlos Hernandez just feels fun. He's just been on a tear at this point. And then Roccanelli is going to start in place of Chris Barnes, who is not playing in this one. And the only game that he started this season was the Duke game, which was 7 for 123 and a touchdown on 12 targets. So he's a great option. So I also wonder, do I go here? Do you just take those two and then you play this? That way you get the cheap Wake options, you get the Taylor stuff, and then now you've got the option for like a Chris Dawn. Um, you could definitely go with you could go with Heidenreich there, but then you only have 5,500 left, and I think that just puts you in a bad position because then I mean, I guess you could do Brennan Thompson and Heidenreich here, so like that's perfectly fine. Um, no, sorry, you could go this. I think that's a perfectly fine team to play. It gets you that Texas State triple. It gets you the double from the Wake side. It gets you Thompson with Taylor, and then you have Heidenreich, which I do love. So that's in play to me. I think also in play would be this with I would put Hudson here, but then you have the option to swap off of Hudson and go to Hudson. So one of the Hudsons, one of the two, depending on who's in the game. So they're in play. Then you've got, let's see here. That's why this thing is tricky. This thing is extremely tricky. Let's just say we wanted to go Chris Johnson. Yeah, then I think you're ending up with like that with Bo Sparks with Brennan Thompson. So it'd be Chris Johnson. So that's yeah. I mean, it's just such a struggle on this to try to figure out what I want to do there. It's like if I don't go Brad Jackson, I think you're going, let's just say you go Ashford and Taylor just for the lulls. What do you end up with? Because now you don't really want to pay for both Sparks. So you're going there. And I would say you're definitely going to want Carlos Hernandez in that sense. Um, okay. That's what you would do. So oh my God, do you really want to do that? That is $1 million question. You could double stack him. So yeah, you could double stack Robbie Ashford. You could go Kamario Taylor. What did Kamario Taylor's passing numbers look like? 15 of 31. God, you're really just playing Kamario Taylor for the pass game or for the run game. I don't love that. Let's just see. What if we go with Brad Jack? I just think Ashford is, yeah. I would prefer. The thing is, the only reason I prefer Kamario Taylor is because I can play the Ashford rushing angle, or play the Wake Forest running back angle with with Ty Clark. But does the Ty Clark stuff not just kick more to Ashford? Do they rely more on Ashford's legs with Ty Clark back there rather than his arm? That's the consideration, right? Does he unleash more Ashford? Is the tricky part. I just feel like Brad Jackson's got such a ceiling against Rice. Like, you're talking 15 carries, touchdown equity. But then again, you kind of want Lincoln Parr. Well, Lincoln Parr is just going to catch touchdowns. Kind of hard to fade him. I guess you could fade him for Heidenreich. I would say so. I lean Ashford. Like, to me, it would be Jackson, Ashford, Taylor, Horvath. I just don't know what to do. I think Mississippi State's defense is just so terrible. It's just so terrible. Golly. It's like, we saw what Jeff Sims did, right? Like, that's the consideration. That's the consideration. I prefer this, but I think I'm going to end up with, I think I want Heidenreich. I think there's just so much more upside. I want the ceiling. I want the ceiling of Heidenreich. I want the ceiling. I think I'm going to go away from Carlos. I do love Carlos, but I think I'm going to go away from the ceiling there. Jesus. That's where I really think I'm going to end up needing that $4,500. Because do I want to go Fluff? Not particularly. Like, I like Fluff, but he probably ends up in a timeshare. I like Heidenreich a lot. I'm tempted to go with the quad stack of Bo Sparks with those guys. Sparks just does not have the same upside that Chris Dawn has. And he's cheaper. I love Hernandez. I think Hernandez is a great stack partner. I think there's extreme viability to saying I'm going to fade Lincoln Parr. I'm going to go Brad Jackson double, and I'm going to go Ashford double. I think there's a legitimate conversation to be had to do that. And that leaves you 5,600. And then you could technically go Chris Burrell, but you could also just do Chris Johnson. I think this is viable. That also would give me the capability to go Lincoln Parr right here. I think this is extremely viable. I think Texas State just absolutely smacks Rice. So there's just points to be had there. Now, there's a viability in that. The only reason I'm considering not playing Ashford is because I actually do want to play this running back at 4,500. In which case, then I go 3 wide receiver or 4 wide receiver slate or 3 wide receiver slate, 3 running backs. Yeah, I mean Texas State, you just gotta think they're gonna drop 50 in this one. So it's like, and I'll know early in the day whether I need to figure it out. I think Heidenreich's risky by comparison to Parr. It's like Lincoln Parr is far less risk than Heidenreich. You know, I think you need some Navy though, because Navy's going to absolutely smack these guys. All right, let's look at FanDuel real quick, just so I'll level set here. Brad Jackson's extremely expensive on FanDuel. I mean, Ashford's insanely cheap. Camario's insanely cheap. Don't know if you're going to need or what you're going to need there. Heidenreich at 86 is fine. Ty Clark at 78 is priced up by comparison. This feels more like a slate where I'm going to end up on. I kind of want to just double stack the heck out of that thing. Chris Johnson's got a nice price at 6,500. Zion Johnson 63. He's good pricing there. Fluff, good price. Texas, not a bad price. Probably prefer Texas to Heidenreich here. Sparks, we've seen. I like Chris Dawn. I'm more of a Chris Dawn guy than I am a Sparks guy. That's just personal preference. So let's go Dawn. I think one of these two is a good option. Carlos at 72 is fine. Roccanelli is a fabulous price at 6K, so I'll throw him in. I don't think you're going to end up needing. I think you're going to have the capability to play some different stuff here on FanDuel for sure. Yeah, I think you're going to end up wanting one of these guys. Let's see here. Trying to see if I can do it the way I want. Let's go. What if we go Horvath Taylor? We'll save a little to get a little. That way we just get straight rush upside. I mean, he's got so many carries. Yeah. There's so much upside at that. And then that gives me the ability to play Ty Clark. I want to get to here. So if we got 84, then I only have 79. So that kind of messes me up. I can go 65. Oh, it's still ugly there. Still ugly there. Let's not go Clark. Clark's priced up too much. Yeah, that's what I think. Well, I think there's diamonds in the rough, but I think there's just decisions to be made, right? I will tell you, I don't think it's, to your point, it's not diamonds in the rough necessarily. They're diamonds in front of you. But how do you choose to play with those diamonds is the question. I mean, the realistic option in this spot is just to say, screw it. I'm not even going to mess with any of that. I'm just going to go Robbie Ashford right here. And then I'm going to go Lincoln Parr. And then I'm going to go you could go Parr Burrell and it'd be a little bit fun. You could go Texa at 72. I mean, that's your play right there, is to do this. Now you get one of those two. So you get Texa. So this is just saying, hey, he's going to run it right up the gut and just slam it down their throat. And then you get Lincoln Parr. So you get his versatility for 20. Yeah, I mean, that's otherwise you're paying down the 2K, you go get Ty Clark. So you either got to go from, well, I don't think you'd want Texa and um, him, and you can't get the Brad Jackson doing that. So I think this is probably what I would end up playing. It has the most upside. Texa runs for 100, gets a touchdown or two. Pard and Dawn end up eating a lot of that Rice, Texas State stuff up. Racanelli goes for 100 and a touch with Ashford. Ashford doing one of these 25, 30 pointers. Camario runs for 100 and multiple scores. That's your 22, 26 in that spot, and then you're there. I think so. Clark is cheap enough to play Clark and Ashford for sure on DK. I think on DK it's in play. I don't think on FanDuel it's in play because there's too many other options around him with Fluff and Fluff, Texa, and even Burrell is being options. You're correct though that it is hard to fade the double Wake Forest stuff. Like, it makes so much sense to go to just take the value. And then the question just becomes, do you want to play an extra Wake Forest guy on DK? And that's the hard part. Like, do you want to play Ashford in this spot? I think it comes down to Ashford or Taylor here. I think Taylor probably comes in higher owned of the two, and Ashford comes in lower owned. Does Ashford need to get there for Taylor to get there? Or does Taylor need to get there for Ashford to get there? I don't think so. Like, that's the thing. I just don't understand how look, I hate Robbie. I don't think Robbie Ashford's a very good football player. I'm full transparency. I don't think he's a very good football player. I don't think Jeff Sims is a very good football player either. I don't know that Camario Taylor is a very good football player right now. I think the value on Wake Forest makes them extremely viable. What does Camario Taylor going there get me? It gets me the option to take Heidenreich. It gets me the option to take Heidenreich if I want him. Or it gets me the option to go Bo Sparks and go Texas State quad stack, which I don't see this being a shootout. That's the problem. Like, they're not going to get pushed. I think Wake Forest can get pushed by Mississippi State. So Heidenreich, Brennan Thompson makes a ton of sense because Brennan can get there very quickly. He had 6 for 80 in the Egg Bowl with Camario at quarterback. I think it's 1,000% in play to play a full Navy stack because I think, let me look at the touchdown equity. So Navy on the season has scored 49 touchdowns. 37 have come from that trio. 37 of them have come from that trio. So it's kind of hard not to think that's viable in a sense. I think I'm going to end up fading this Arizona SMU game because if one of these guys gets there, they'll be there, but there's risk there. I think I want like a Heidenreich. I do love Eli Heidenreich. It's so hard for me not to want to play him. He's their best receiver. Their whole secondary's gone. I think Horvath's a great option to swap. Like, I think putting Horvath here makes a ton of sense. Yeah, most of most of the production, or nearly all of the production, kind of just comes from. So 67%, like two-thirds of the production of receiving production comes from Sparks and Dawn, and the third guy is Par, like as far as pass catching goes. So you're looking at 75-80% of the pass catching production coming from Dawn, Par, and Sparks. So it's kind of hard to swap that, to change that out. I think Rockinelli and him are smart. I think going there is smart. I think going there is smart. I love Heidenreich. God. I think this is the smart play because I love this game. So I get the stack in that one. I like this game environment a lot. I like this team and I like Navy to beat up on them. And I can just fade that one. So I like that. I think that's extremely viable. I think there's also a discussion to be had to say, I'm going to take Jackson down to Horvath. Horvath throws for whatever. What did Horvath have in the game that Heidenreich blew up? Let's say the South Florida game. Let's look at, because Heidenreich had 26, and let's look at the Air Force game. Granted, that's an aberration, but let's look at those two. South Florida, he had 15. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to bring him along. The Air Force game, he had 49. I mean, imagine if you got the same as the Air Force. Air Force, one of the worst defenses in the country. It's a JV team. But imagine you got a hundo spot at a Horvath and Heidenreich in this one. I don't think it's out of the realm. I also don't think Brennan Thompson possesses the upside. Literally does possess the exact same upside that a Jordan Hudson has. So like going from Jackson to, you basically would be going Jackson to Horvath and then Thompson to Hudson would be the play. Horvath is less likely to just drop 30. Like, there's so many outs, right? Because Brad Jackson's they're gonna throw for 300, and if Lincoln Parr and if Chris Dawn are gonna get there, it's gonna be on volume and touchdown capability. That's gonna be off the back of Brad Jackson. So I think you have to play Brad Jackson in that sense. Sawyer. What'd you talk about, Jason? That's what I'm saying, Myron. That's the only reason I would consider this, because I get the double wake stuff, and I think Racanelli's the one. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Racanelli's the one. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even know his name was Sawyer until today. Racanelli is I was thinking Sawyer Robertson is the only Sawyer I could think of. He's going to be the number one wide receiver. So the only game that he has started this season was against Duke, and he went 7 for 123. He's also cheap. And that's the only game that Chris Barnes didn't play in. Chris Barnes is in the portal, so Racanelli steps in as the number one option. Carlos Hernandez is still a good option. He's just a slot receiver, more so. So is it possible he goes crazy? Yes. I've ridden that train plenty of times when he was at Washington State in 3K. Paid off a few times, didn't pay off a few times. I'm going to ride Racanelli and Clark as the simple things. Yeah, I'm playing Parr and Jackson together. Mainly because Parr is the third leading wide receiver for Texas State. So you have a ton of pass catching equity. He's caught 2 touchdowns in 2 straight. So you have plenty of capability for that to end up being almost a pseudo wide receiver stack. Very similar to why I would play Heidenreich. Heidenreich's their leading wide receiver. Playing him with Horvath is perfectly fine. Thompson can be and he cannot be, right? So Anthony Evans also can be. Like, yeah, I like Wake money line in that one. I agree with that, Myron. So like Anthony Evans is going to be involved. Just going off a sample size, he played the Egg Bowl. He didn't do anything. And Brennan Thompson had 6 for 80. Brennan Thompson, much more of a deep threat. I do like Brennan Thompson a little bit more than Anthony Evans. Things will adjust for me if like you just keep an eye on Brennan Thompson. He's supposed to be coming back, but keep an eye on that. But yeah, I like the Kamario Taylor Thompson stack the best. If one of those Mississippi State wide receivers is out, you can adjust to Aiden Williams. He would be the replacement starter if either one of them was out. So, but anyway, fun 4-game slate. I think it's very fun because there's options. There was trash ones the other day. In this particular case, I think you're going to try to play as much Texas State as possible. I think you're going to want to play Navy. I think you want to play both teams out of this Wake Mississippi State game. It's got shootout written all over it. And then I think the wide receiver number ones between Hudson and Hudson are viable. And then Chris Johnson's viable. And then I think I'm not going to say that Kevin Jennings is not viable. I think he is viable. I don't want to play any of the Arizona running game stuff, and I don't want to play Fafita, but I think there's viable plays in this one. I just think this game just is speaking to me, we'll say. It is speaking to me. I don't even know if it has the highest over-under today. I could not tell you. I have not looked at I didn't even look at that. I just broke down what I was thinking. I would guess that it has a pretty sizable one. Let's see. It is 53. That feels low. 54 in Navy Cincinnati. 52 Arizona SMU. And 57.5 in Rice, Texas State. Yeah. I think I would take the over in that Wake Mississippi State game. I wouldn't necessarily say I want to take either side of that one. I would, if anything, I would take Wake money line, but I do actually like the over in this Wake Mississippi State game. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm playing this. So we'll start prepping, and I'm not exactly sure what I'll be back with because the next games aren't until next Thursday, Friday, I think. So could be Thursday or Friday before I'm back. I'm not certain. I'm going to come up with some stuff, though. I'm going to continue having stuff and filling some things in, whether those are videos or live content or things like that. I do have an idea. I want to learn golf DFS. I'm not particularly good at it, even though I want to be. I'm actually terrible at it. I'm actually very good at NBA, and I hate it. I don't like NBA, so I don't play. But for some reason, the numbers just speak to me. But I want to get better at golf. I'm actually very good at NASCAR. It's actually my second best sport. NASCAR and F1 for some reason. I'm extremely good at both. But that's not my forte to talk about. So I'll leave that to the experts for sure. That and my wife might kill me if I try to jump headfirst into something more time consuming, we'll say. But I am going to do videos on F1 DFS is very tough. You got to hit the nuts basically every week to cash. Um, I am going to do some videos that are going to come out. They'll be probably paired with some other people or with Brian or a few other people. And we're going to kind of do like a soccer style combined 11 style deal where for example, it would be like 2010s. We'll take a full decade of two teams that are somewhat rivals or comparable and pick a starting quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive lineman, and then like defenders at all three levels and make a combined team to an extent, not a full 22, but condensed down a little bit. So like 2010s Alabama and LSU, right? Or Ohio State, Michigan in the 90s, like some fun little conversation stuff. I kind of like that content on the soccer side. So I'll probably make some of that stuff up so we can debate some stuff and have some stuff. But I'm gonna have a ton of transfer portal stuff out as well because the portal is going to heat up in a second. So I'll probably have some portal stuff this weekend if some news breaks and things like that. Maybe I'll throw some stuff together. So anyway, best of luck today. As always, keep an eye on the news. Goodness knows you never know who's going to end up sitting out. Some people end up playing Jordan Marshall when they get word he is playing, and then he ends up not playing 3 minutes later, and they're in a meeting and they couldn't check their phone and switch it. So sometimes you burn some money, sometimes you don't. That's the way it goes. But best luck to everybody today, and I will see you guys at worst within some point within the next week. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year to all of you. Greatly appreciate everybody tuning in and contributing. And I wish you all the best today. And I will see you.